you're very welcome back. We have got a massive second half coming your way over the next hour or so. We're going to pack the stage here. We're going to bring on the returning villain of the night in Austin Healey. Give it up for Austin Healey again. We've got Alan Quinlan with us.
Well, we got booed. Why is he getting booed? I don't know. Why are you getting booed?
We have Andy Dunne with us as well.
Munster.
And the other half of the dream team, Gerry Thornley. Take a seat, folks. Quinny, we might start with yourself.
Why was I getting booed?
Why was Quinny getting booed?
Because I'm from Munster, is it?
We might start with yourself, Quinny, because when we were looking back through your games against England, I think one of the only times you played against England was Carpetgate. So this is absolutely perfect that you're here. I know, Austin, you were working for the BBC that day. If you're going to pick a memorable fixture against England, that's probably the one.
Yeah, that brings back some memories, all right. And England had a good number 9 that day. Matt Dawson was playing that day for England. But it was an incredible team.
You don't need to pile on. There's 1,200 people.
And you love it.
That's 1,201.
You love it.
Yeah.
You love it. It was an incredible English team, and Drico was captain. We'd actually won the first 4 games. It was a Grand Slam decider, so we were in a good position. But it was an incredible English team, wasn't it? And Martin Johnson went to the left-hand side or the right-hand side as we were coming out, and then
is that the O3?
We weren't really sure, and Drico brings us down the other side. Then
I didn't even know we had a side. Genuinely. So we lead the team out, go into a huddle, and the next thing we break up from the huddle, and they've already lined on the right-hand side, and Kevin Maggs goes, "They're on our side." I was like, "Why don't we just go over to this side?" They're disrespecting us. I was like, "Oh, I've like no experience as a captain. It's like my 5th game as captain, maybe." I'm like, "Oh." So you've got 3 options. I could stand in front of Martin Johnson, maybe get a dig in the back of the head. I could stand behind Martin Johnson, no one would know I was there. Or alternatively, go down beyond the red carpet and get Mary McAleese's boots dirty as she walked off. So that was the best of a bad bunch. More would have been made of it had they lost. They scored 50 points, beat us by 35 odds. Unbelievable team. And I have to say, I've spoken to Jono a lot about it in the past. I respect him for it because their big thing with Clive Woodward saying to them, they'd lost the Grand Slam on the final day of the 3 previous years, and his final words were, "There's nowhere to go if you don't win this one. You can't go home." And so when he was asked to go and change position, I think he said it was the manner in which the stadium announcer came out and aggressively said, "Move down there," and he said no. And hung in there, and you got to respect him.
Some random guy, he said, told him to move, and we kind of had a huddle then after the whole thing, and it was like fellas were screaming and shouting, "We're going to kill him now, and this is the motivation we need." And they beat us 42-6 was the score, so destroyed us. So sometimes that kind of anger and aggression doesn't work for you, but that was an incredible team. It was a great English side, but and they went on to win the World Cup a few months later and proved that.
I do want to establish some of the connections here. Andy Dunne in the Irish Times.
Can I just say, but we went to Leicester a couple of weeks later and we beat Leicester over in Welford Road. So, and there was a load of those English players. That was with Munster now as well, so sorry, more booze probably.
That was the real Grand Slam.
Yeah, that was the Grand Slam, yeah. Well, Rob Kearney said in 2009 we had more passion playing for Munster than Ireland, didn't we?
Andy.
No, it's taken a second. It's taken a second for him to get that.
Turn it up.
To use adjectives that have been described about people, you were mentioned in the Irish Times this morning by Gordon Darcy. Did you see this?
No.
He described you as an exotic creature. A 6th year forcing his way into provincial/national teams is how he described you. Getting into the senior setup when you're still in school. You played with the Ireland schools team alongside Brian O'Driscoll in 1997, I believe it was.
It was, yeah. I think, just before we go into that Grand Slam game, it'll tell you how obscure and unrecognisable you were as a professional rugby player in Ireland back then if you weren't on the Irish team. So I was fully contracted with Leinster at the time. My brother John, who's sitting up here, my brother Paul, there was a bit of a heist going on for tickets. And Clontarf Rugby knew a couple of lads who were working as official programme, giving out, get the bibs, give out the programme. Apparently you could get in there pre-game in Lansdowne Lane, rob a bib, and get into the game. So John went in first, my brother. Paul went in second. I went in third, robbed one. And I ended up sitting in the dead ball area watching that game. And like 9 months later, I was playing. Will Greenwood famously ran into the corner to score. I was sitting in that corner going, the fucking cheek. And but I ended up playing with him like 9 months later, having bunked in with my little bib. And people were going, the old Lansdowne Road. Where's section UV, UX? I was just like, just here, there. Just don't ask me a question. But sorry, that's my memory of that game. But in 97 with Brian, we had...
Well, you came up against Johnny Wilkinson in that era. This seems to have been like a kind of a crossroads for a lot of people in their career, these 97 schools games where you were up against one of the all-time greats. I think even in your book, Brian, you describe it as a situation where he wanted, and it was said in the programme, that he wanted to be a professional rugby player, and you were saying, I'm still undecided on my career choices. Such were the differences between Ireland and England at that point. Did it feel like that when it came to the two schools teams in the late 90s, that you were at different levels?
Well, firstly, the reason that I became a centre was because of Dunne, because when the Leinster schools team was selected, he was a shoe-in, and the coach said, well, if you want to play in the team, you're going to have to find an alternative position. And so that was the first time I had ever played 12. Dunne was absolutely sensational as a 17-year-old playing for Belvo. He had wild footwork, ability that nobody else really had at schoolboy level. And so that's why I ended up playing 12. And then you look back at that school match that we played in Lansdowne Road, like Borthwick was playing, David Flatman, Balshaw, Tyndall, Johnny Wilkinson. There was like a big raft of players that subsequently went on to have good England careers as well. But yeah, you never thought coming as a 17-year-old, the game had only turned pro a couple of years. I wasn't thinking I want to be a professional rugby player for 15 years. It was, you're happy to play for Ireland schools and see what came after that.
Do you remember how good Wilkinson was that day?
Kicked a few goals.
There was a guy, he was second choice. There was a guy from Yorkshire schools who was unbelievably good, and I had played against him.
Nat Lofthouse.
Lofthouse.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Nat Lofthouse. It was Nat Lofthouse played for Bolton in the 50s. There was like maybe his son, but it was like a Lofthouse. And he was sensational, and he got injured, I think, pre-game that week. I remember getting the programme, and I saw Jay Wilkinson. I went, fucking nice one. But, so and I don't know, the other bit of an outlier from that game was a multitude of streakers ran on.
Yeah.
Like, there's about 10 minutes to go. The game was in the balance. There was a pretty good crowd there. It was tight. And suddenly there was loads of naked men just running all over the field. It wasn't very well policed. But I think that English side, if you look, Brian, Jerry Flannery, Donncha O'Callaghan maybe, and I think that's about it, who really got to the kind of top level of the game. Whereas England maybe had 12 of their starting 15 ended up British and Irish lines. So yeah, I think there's a bit of a mismatch at that stage.
Can I ask you, Austin, after that point, how quickly do you realise that Wilkinson, when he comes into the senior setup, was going to become the world-class outhalf that he did?
I shared a room with him, actually, before his first game. We came on the wing against Ireland for a few minutes, but his first start was the 76-0 loss that we had in Australia, which was a great game. And I shared a room with him, and I was convinced that he wouldn't make it. Walked into the room, he's got OCD. All of his drawers were neatly packed with his socks in perfect piles, his underpants perfect piles. My side of the room looked like someone had put a hand grenade in my suitcase. It was just everywhere. And he phoned his mum and dad the night before the game and called them Mummy and Daddy. And I thought at that point, this game's not for you, son. True story. I did say to him, "Are you a bit worried about playing tomorrow?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You should be, because you're shit." But it was like reverse psychology, you just test people, and I think, it's probably played a big part in the player he became.
Gerry Thornley, you're very welcome. We were chatting in the first half about a piece of writing which I'm sure you very much appreciate as well. Eddie Butler ghosting Austin Healey's thoughts is just the dream team from a journalistic standpoint, I suspect.
Yeah. The Leicester lip and the greatest commentator stroke writer the sport's ever known, the late great Eddie Butler. And you sent me the link for the article last night and I read it and went, wow, how the fuck did they get away with that? And we all paid a price for it in years to come. 4 years later, Alistair Campbell and a big media phalanx were all part of the Lions tour. I don't know if anybody even proofread your piece in 2001. I doubt it, obviously. But 4 years later, they were proofreading absolutely everything. And Jordan Murphy was doing a column for the Telegraph or the Times or somebody, and he was in the Dirt Trackers in this test series, and as Dirt Trackers do, he wrote this piece about going out in the middle of the week for a few beers. But Alistair Campbell and his team got to proofread this and sent it back to the newspaper, and it was changed to went out for a stroll. Fucking wokeism 20 years ahead of its time. So it became a buzzword around the media that we would always go out every night. We would go out for a stroll. Yeah, let's go out. We went out for a few strolls. We got a lot of steps in. But 4 years previously, I don't know whether you remember this, Brian, I haven't mentioned it. Do you remember I ghosted your column in the Lions Tour? The Irish Times.
Vaguely.
It wasn't as good as Eddie Butler and the Leicester Lip combined, or even close. So it was my first ever Lions Tour, and I went out, and I don't know why, I was ahead of all the other journalists. I think I arrived even a day before the Lions. It must have been naivety or enthusiasm, or I'm going away for 6 weeks, I might as well go away for fucking 7 weeks. I don't know. I was in Perth at the first training session, and I noticed I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, I admit it. And I noticed there was 3 centres and no fullback running in this training session. I think it was Will Greenwood and Mark Taylor and yourself. And why are they running with 3 centres and no fullback? And then I noticed Dricko was hitting the line later than all the others. I went, he's going to be playing fullback. I've got a little story here. One of only 3 Lions stories I've ever got in 6 Lions tours on my very first day. And I went up to Donal Lennon at the end of the tour, at the end of the training session. I said, you're playing Dricko at fullback against Western Australia in Perth, 116-10. They learned absolutely nothing from you playing the fullback. Suffice to say, you weren't tested defensively very much. But anyway, I got my story. Brian just got to play fullback. I was the only one who had it. And basically, Manick said to me, that's the only story you'll be getting in this tour. And he was right. And I went up to you, and we were doing our column the next week. And I said, what did Graham Henry say to you about playing at fullback for probably the one and only time in your career? And Brian goes, what do you mean? He didn't say a word to me. It would have been a great column. Graham Henry throws Brian Driscoll in at fullback, but doesn't tell him what he's expecting of him, what he wanted from you, nothing.
I'd literally never played the position before once. Never trained there.
No. Okay, we didn't use the line. I wish I had now. We could have got away with it, like the Leicester Lip and Eddie Butler. Might have been a good column, but anyway.
To be fair, he doesn't remember a lot about that tour, so he has to recreate the stories and make a lot of them up.
But I think their thinking was that if I was going to be maybe part of the test team, could I cover full back rather than carrying another back 3 player? I'm not sure, but anyway, listen, like you said, it was 116-7 or whatever, and didn't get tested at all. The ball was never kicked down to me, and nothing was learned from it.
Can I give you one last very quick story? Then I'll shut up for the rest of the night. But my favourite interview of that tour was in the 3rd week of the test series. I think I just actually went up to Rob Henders and said, could I have a one-on-one? That's how loose it was. We're only 6 years into professional at this stage. There's no Alistair Campbell, nothing like this in sight. He played all 3 tests with you. And I went up to him in the 3rd week, so I could have a one-on-one. So I told Billy Stickland, the photographer, and we went up to Hendo's room. Just come up to my room. Jesus, would never fucking happen now. So I go up to Hendo's room, and Billy takes him out the balcony and takes loads of artistic photographs next to the beach or whatever it was. So Poor old Jerry's waiting to finally get his turn to have the interview with Rob Henderson. And then room service arrives. And whereas Johnny Wilkins used to have white eggs only omelettes, do you remember? And no chips. Hendo had the full omelette with cheese and ham and everything else, and a big plate of chips, brings up to his room, shares the chips around with us, the omelette, finishes the omelette and chips, we're ready for the interview. He sits up in his bed, leans across, grabs his cigarettes and his lighter. All's well in Sheahan, though. You don't get interviews like that anymore. That's a true story.
One character that we neglected to mention in the first half, so we should just tie this all up nicely now, Austin, is Justin Harrison, obviously referred to as the plank in your Guardian column. This wasn't the last time you'd end up interacting with Justin Harrison or his family closer to the point that 2001 Lions tour, right?
Well, they didn't come round for Christmas dinner. No, we played Australia that autumn at Twickenham, and I remember standing there after winning man of the match, and what are you laughing at?
Difficult to win man of the match from the bench.
Did that day. And this really tall lady started walking towards me. It turned out to be Justin Harrison's mum. And I was thinking, oh no, she's going to give me an almighty hammering now. And she just reached out her hand and she said, thank you very much. And I said, what for? She said, you've made my son a lot more famous than his rugby ever could. And then we had a drink, actually. She's a lovely, lovely lady, wonderful, wonderful person.
Did she ask you to sign a photo?
Yeah, I signed a photo, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Flew all the, well, obviously her son was playing, but
yeah, lovely. Have I mentioned how nice she was?
Yeah.
What a beautiful, lovely lady she is. Yeah.
We've briefly touched on it, Quinny, but the Leicester lip has been mentioned. Obviously, he would have come up against Austin. Well, I guess he was working for BBC that day for the England-Ireland game. But what about the Munster versus Leicester moments? How would you have spoken about how you would deal with Austin Healey on a tactical level, let's say?
Well, he was a good player, in fairness to him. He played wing and scrum half, and we never had any interactions as regards... I obviously had a bit of a reputation for being a bit of an Austin Healey on the field. Not as bad, for annoying the opposition, annoying my own players, referees, the crowd, everybody. He brought it to a different level, didn't he? And enjoyed it too, still enjoys it, being the villain. But yeah, we had a great rivalry with Leicester in the game in 2002 in Cardiff, the Neil Back one. This fucker scored a try. It was significant as well.
I did get man of the match in that game as well, by the way.
That's another one he got.
I don't like to talk about it.
You mean you actually got man of the match in that game?
Carry on anyway, yeah, but I did. It was and the year before.
Where was I?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
We were very similar type kind of clubs in the sense that we were very forward orientated. Back then, the team we had wouldn't have had superstar backs, but we were kind of built on the forward dominance and stuff like that. But they were, Johnson, Kay, Rowntree, Lewis Moody, Neil Back, Martin Corrie. They were incredible players, and they were all playing for England. So it was a tall order, that final, for us. But we got nearly everything right in the game. Bar he goes between Rog and Jason Holland?
Well, it's over Rog.
Over Rog, right, okay. Scored a try, and we lost the line-out, I think. Who's your full-back that day that scored?
Stimmo.
Tim Stimson scored the first try, and we lost 15-9, and then there's the famous scrum at the end where Neil Back kind of slaps the ball out of Stringer's hands, but a lot said after that, and that was it.
Do you know he got about 50 death threats after that?
Seriously?
Yeah, start the season. Yeah, we came back and he was getting loads of death threats, so we started to add to them.
Brilliant.
A number of times, the news of the world, I was cutting it up every Sunday. Like, you get the letters, like bastard and stuff, and, you know, you'd cut them all up, and then we'd stick it, and we'd have such a laugh sticking them together.
The thing from us as players, though, we never really spoke about Neil back cost us the match because, you know, I think it was more Munster fans after that, and I got caught doing it myself in a scrum, and maybe a year later against Ulster, I flicked the ball out of Isaac Boss's hands down in Thomond Park, and Donal Lenihan said in commentary, "Oh, that Quinlan's after doing a kneel back in it." So it became a kneel back situation. But I mentioned the 0-3 one. For us, it was you know, losing a second final was so disappointing, but it was an incredible team. We went back then the year after, and we won in Welford Road, which very few teams had done before, and that was a special win for us. We ended up losing against Toulouse in the semi-final after that, and they came to Dublin then and beat Perennial in a final here. They were a great Leicester side, to be fair, and a lot of that team played in a World Cup final, won a World Cup in 03. They had a brilliant squad. So, yeah, a lot of great rivalries. We played them a few times then.
The punchline writes itself, Quinny.
Yeah, it does, unfortunately.
Yeah, but to be fair, they're now raising money to pay each other's mortgages off, so... Oh, shit, it's recorded. Oh, fuck.
That's definitely gone out again, but...
Can you cut that bit out?
Yeah, they were great times for us, and obviously in being in Australia and seeing them winning and winning that World Cup was, you know, they're still dining out in it, I suppose. Yeah, Will Greenwood.
I mean, that's a good point to put to you, Austin. Like, I mean, dining out on that to this day, is it still something that when you see your former teammates celebrate and do after dinner speeches on all this sort of thing, does it still hurt not being involved in 2003?
No, I'm really proud of them. I remember the emotions, actually, because I'd had a really good run. I'd played the previous 40 games, I think, for the team. And then that game, the 03 game, Rob Henderson ran into me and put his full weight on my body and my legs snapped. So that's really, Hendo finished my career, and I'm, you know, still friends with him. But I then went and lived in Australia, as I said earlier, came back, didn't make it. Clive phoned me up and he said, "You're not going." And I said, "I'll just ask you one question. If I'm on the bench, for example, and you need to win in the last 10 minutes, is Andy Gomersall going to do that, or am I going to do that?" And he said, "Well, you're not going." So... didn't answer the question. And then we get to the tournament, and I'm watching the tournament. I'm at home, and the mix of emotions were really proud for my teammates, especially the Leicester lads and some of the other guys, that, you know, the Tyndalls and the Bolshaws of this world that I'm really close with. But then there's other guys in that squad who you're less close with, who you resent. So there was a real mixture of emotions.
Which ones?
Mark Regan, mainly. Again, I don't care if you put that in. So I had that resentment that I knew for the rest of my life he was going to have that over me. You know, without being 5% of the player that I was. So... yeah, it was difficult to answer your question. It still is, but it actually was a driving force because I came back from that and then I put a lot more of my passion, my energy into my family and into other things outside of rugby and realised it was more important. And the achievement, actually, that going to America and training, I tore my ACL, I locked all the condyle cartilage off my bone, dislocated my kneecap, got told to retire, but I got fit in 6 months and played against France in Marseille, actually 4 months. So I did it on April the 13th, was that 03 game, and I played, my last game for England was on August the 13th in Marseille. So it was quite a big achievement personally, even though I didn't go there. And on the same day that they lifted the World Cup, we played Rotherham away. Great bus trip.
Andy, we have been discussing coming up against Austin Healey. I presume as a Premiership player, you would have had the same experience that Quinny would have had in terms of planning for the greatness of Austin Healey and the other team.
Yeah, well, no, to be fair, I was kind of I loved all sports as a teenager, and I actually was a fan of Austin and Will Greenwood. You were playing county, wasn't it? Before you were playing club, and at that stage, that was featured in BBC Rugby Special and stuff like this. So I used to watch this on a Sunday afternoon, and himself and Will were the kind of rising stars. They were playing in the same team together. My sense of Austin was he was a bit underutilised as a 9. And I'd also look at him now, and I'll take my nose out of his ass after this, but like 25 years later, he's one of the few people, if you look at the game, that you could parachute out of that game and put into the modern game, and I think there'd be a fairly seamless transition. The game has changed and moved on in certain positions and roles, but I think he would fit in very nicely, particularly as a 9 in the modern game with the pace that he brought and the skill set. So that's the compliments over.
That's very kind.
No, but he was. I mean, couple of European Cups and a few Premierships. You got to.
Do you think Dricko would make it in the modern game?
I was going to ask you about me.
I think he would.
I think without question, yes. Potentially as a 10.
Oh, do you reckon as a 10 in the modern? No.
No, he could.
No way.
Why not?
Like kicking game, passing game, running game. I played 10 once for Leinster against Toulouse down in Toulouse, and we shipped 50 points, and that was it. It was actually a totally different fitness. I was used to 13 going in, and even that little bit further to run every time to ruck organising, the kind of the tiredness that came with making so many decisions. I'm glad that you came along, Andy, and pushed me out to 12 or 13.
He's a bit harsh on the kicking game, because the Irish under-18s we mentioned earlier, they couldn't establish who was going to kick, because lots of lads were kicking for their schools teams or club teams you were on. So we had a little kicking competition before the Scotland game, and it was literally who got the most, got to kick on match day, and he got the most. And he was actually brutal, but he just got the most. So when it came to the Scotland match, I always remember Kieran Scally, famously, we were standing beside you took one from the touchline on his dad, Frank O'Driscoll's famously loud voice. 50,000 people, you could still hear Frank. Brian nails one, he said, just like a 9-iron, Brian-o. The two of us turned around, we were like, for fuck's sake.
Like, we'll be out on a night out, and Skiddy will actually just shout out of the blue, like a 9-iron! Like, 25 years later.
Etched in our brains, yeah.
The first time I played fly half for England, I got 20 minutes warning. We're in South Africa, and Clive came over to me. I was starting on the wing, and he said, you're going to have to play fly half. I was like, why? He said, Johnny's got a cough. So, but it's true. Honestly, it's a true story.
Did Mummy not hook him up with some cough bottle?
No. Don't say what came into your head there. So anyway, I'm going off and I'm starting the game. And in those days, we were playing in Bloemfontein, the gun capital of the world. And there was you didn't drop out. You kicked off a big pile of sand. So I got this massive pile of sand, and I'm stood there. And I'm just about to kick off, and the ref stood next to me. I think he's called Fleming. Was he a Kiwi? Can I remember his name? Was it not Ian?
Jim?
Mr.
Jim, was it Jim Fleming?
Jim Fleming, yeah.
So anyway, he stood right next to me, and he just goes, I was like, what are you doing? He said, look at your shirt. And I had all those laser pens all over my shirt. And then honestly, he went... So you talk about pressure. That was... Yeah, anyway, man of the match. I tell you, it was horrible because AJ Venter, who was a monster back then,
yeah.
He ran over me repeatedly for the whole game. He was a beast, that guy. He was a monster of a man. End of story.
I do want to do a few minutes on this weekend on the Six Nations, Ireland versus England. Let's kick things off. Jerry, give us the team. I mean, this is not going to go out until tomorrow evening or anything like that. If you've got leaks tomorrow morning in the Irish Times, please feel free to share them with us.
Okay, well, I don't know for sure.
You do.
Okay.
He does.
Your best guess.
He always knows.
Have you ever been wrong?
Yes. Yeah, I have been wrong. Of course I've been wrong. Of course, you can't always get it. Although, as Joe Schmidt would often say to me, yeah, but you have a funny habit of getting it right. Joe used to really piss Joe off for some reason. Less so Andy, he doesn't sweat the small stuff. But what I don't know, but I'm just guessing it's the normal back three. Mac Hansen, James Lowe, and Hugo Keenan. Gary Ringrose, I'm hearing it's Bundy at 12. There's always a toss-up between Bundy and Robbie. And Robbie's on the bench this time, and it could be the other way around next week. I'm hearing it's Sam Prendergast at 10, which makes sense. I'm hearing that. It would make sense because they've invested so much time in him. He's started the last 2 tests in November. He's getting loads of game time with Leinster. He plays with Gibson Park every week, therefore at Leinster in the big game. So it would make sense that it's going to be Prendergast this time. And I'm told that in the front row, well, I'm guessing the front row. I don't know. I don't. It's Porter, Kelleher, Beelum. Like, you're not going to throw Dan Sheahan straight in on the basis of 60 minutes in whatever month, years it is, and 2 training sessions when Kelleher was out in the camp all last week. Blah, blah, blah. The most surprising one, I got a whisper early in the day and then it was confirmed to me that might be Ryan Baird at 6. Yeah. I guess England have a brilliant defensive line out, don't they? Brilliant defensive line, one of the best. So they do. I think that they want Baird in for that. And they're going to go for James Ryan and Tygburn in the second row. Obviously, Caelan Doris and Josh van der Fleer are the first 2 names, the team sheet, virtually, they're in such great form. And then it's, the Sheahan's on the bench. Thomas Clarkson's on the bench. The evergreen Cian Healy's on the bench.
Allegedly. Course, yeah.
Completely. I could this way wrong. Joe McCarthy's on the bench. Jack Conan's on the bench. Conor Murray, Jack Crowley, and Robbie Henshaw.
There you go.
Now, the great thing about this is when I'm wrong tomorrow, none of you will be near me. So
Exactly. Possible team. What do you make of the Baird call, Quinny?
Well, I actually heard this evening that Jack Conan is going to start at 6. I don't know. Again, I just heard a whisper of that, and I heard that Tygburn and Joe McCarthy are in the second row, and James Ryan is not starting. So the access is a problem. I don't know if you've mentioned the Netflix stuff, and they're not going for a 3rd series in the Six Nations. It's a waste of time. The first 2 series, no access, very bland, nothing new, no insights. If we want to grow the game, like there's over 300 million people subscribe to Netflix. We've got to open up the game a bit more. It's crazy. And look, Dricko probably, I don't know if the lads agree, when we were players, I didn't want any of that camera in the dressing room. We'd go to Wales, and the first prep time we ever saw, and you love the Welsh, don't you? But amazingly, they had cameras in dressing rooms there, and we put a towel up over it. S4C would want to try and get that dressing room viewing and stuff like that. But I think we have to change that. If you want to grow rugby, they've got to open up, relax a little bit. It's not this rocket science. You see what happens in the NFL when you see those behind the scenes stuff. It's intriguing, and if rugby wants to grow to other parts of the world and get bigger, it's not going to happen. The Irish system here is don't give anything away. Media managers all the time.
Not a paranoia in there.
You'd want to see the access, and I understand that the model here is slightly different, that it's centrally contracted. But if you look at, and myself and Austin work a lot on the Premiership, if you look at the access the commentators get sometimes in the weeks of Prem games, they'll get to all captain's runs. They'll more often than not get a good sense of what the team is on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, so we can plan ahead and we can decide what footage we're going to use. They get called into team meetings sometimes to understand, because they understand get the concept of growing the game collectively. We're not there to try and stitch them up.
You know, I went to Australia in 2018 for the test series with Sky. Mark Robson and myself were the commentators. So we were to go around to the training session on Tuesday, media day, to do some, I think we were told we were getting the captain and one other player possibly. So we were there pretty early. We were waiting for the team to arrive. Cheika's coaching them at this stage, Michael Cheika. They arrive, he comes over, chats to us, totally relaxed. And then we're asked, like, when do we get the player, or how much access do we get, or have we to be gone after 10 minutes? You know the way they give you the 10 minutes at the start of training and then all journalists gone. We've been in New Zealand, hadn't we? And we had to wait. We're locked outside the gate to see Ireland train for the first, most of the session. But anyway, just on this point in Australia. So the media guy comes out and says, off you go, lads. And we mean, what do you mean? Go and interview whoever you like, talk to whoever you like. They're all in the dressing room up there changing. Go in, you can pick anyone you want. So we walk into the dressing room with a camera and we're kind of, I wanted to chat to Falau at the time. And Mark Robson picked somebody else, and I was sorry I spoke to Falau actually afterwards, after everything he came out with. But it was just amazing that even...
What's the most buoyant league in the world? What's the biggest, most buoyant league in the world at the moment?
Well, in rugby or...
Yeah, in rugby.
Oh.
French.
Absolutely. The media are given virtually complete access to the dressing room after every game. I was over at the Castra Munster game there recently, and you could just go wherever you want, interview whoever you wanted. Jeremy Davison bought you a beer beside the pitch. It was light years away from Leinster, Munster, Ulster, Connacht.
But if you take the NFL, like I don't know how many people are NFL fans, but last week, Saquon Barkley playing for Philadelphia Eagles in basically the Super Bowl semi-final, scoring a brilliant touchdown. There's footage from last year from their live documentaries where he's been traded by the New York Giants, and they actually have footage of the management's conversation. They're sitting there talking, going like, do we really want to trade him? One guy's going like, who's going to pay that much? And like, that's where it's going. Like the NFL is the world's biggest growing sport, and you're fucking not getting access because of IrishRugby.ie.
Sorry,
you know what I mean? And
I started this. You were on the Irish team a few minutes ago.
Poor Gerry has to guess the team.
It was just you asked me about the Ryan Baird at 6. I would be surprised because I think Tadhg Beirne does that type of role. He's a kind of second row or back rower as well. And I think James Ryan, for me, should start with Joe McCarthy and Ryan in the back row. You're playing against George Martin and Atoje. They're powerful. The surprise for me is England have gone for the two Currys. Tom Curry is a brilliant, brilliant player as a 7. Ben Curry's improved a huge amount as well. They've taken away a little line-out option. Yeah. They could have started Ollie Chesham or Cunningham South, put more pressure on that Irish line-out that struggled a little bit in November. So they're obviously going after source, I think, here. And Borthwick is thinking, let's go after Ireland's breakdown with basically 3 7s in their back row. I'd be surprised if Ryan Baird was starting, not out of his ability, but where he hasn't really featured there. Yeah. And then it's a big call to say, I know they'd be playing different positions, but essentially you're taking James Ryan out and you're bringing Ryan Baird in and moving Tadhg Beirne back into the second row. I don't know. It could happen, but
we'll see
as I
tomorrow
said,
afternoon.
Someone just said to me this evening that they heard Jack Conan was possibly starting at 6. Again, that's probably not accurate.
On Prendergast starting, that does seem to be all the reporting that we've seen over the last couple of days does suggest Prendergast. Right call, Brian?
I think Prendergast is going to be the 10 in the World Cup in 27. I think his ceiling is higher. I think he's got more natural ability than Crowley. He seems like a very confident guy. He's getting lots more game time. I suppose you need to be careful. You got to reward guys as well. And you look at, he did play the last couple of games in November, but Crowley came on against Australia and changed the game with Casey. So sometimes I'm very keen on rewarding those sort of moments when you come on and make a big difference and change the impact that is expected from a sub. Crowley also played really well in the loss to Northampton last week. So I actually thought they were going to go with Crowley, but I'm pleased to hear that he's going with Prendergast. If that is the case, I think it's a braver call. He is going to be the guy for the long term, in my opinion. And the comfort of Gibson Park, of 3 or 4 of the backs. There's a big Leinster contingent. I think there's going to be a lot more understanding around the timings of plays, and where Ireland have really struggled in the last year, and where Leinster are struggling a little bit is in their multi-phase. That was where they were brilliant up to the World Cup in 23 around after line out and scrum. How do you get into your shape? How do you unlock defences that are so organised now? Everyone's timing of running, deception, understanding that they were always a viable option was their sweet spot. It was what they were excellent at. And they've come away from that. They're becoming way more predictable. They're checking their strides. They're getting to plays too early. And I think, having the cohesion of someone like Prendergast there that's going to be playing with his Leinster teammates, predominantly with 5 or 6 others, I think is going to help that. But I think Ireland is still a way away from where they were 18 months ago in that regard, and they need to go back to focusing it, because I thought they looked quite blunt at times, particularly against Australia, who had lots of answers for that multi-phase.
I think his selection's reactive. I think it's indicative of Borthwick's named the squad too early, and Prendergast has been selected, if he has, because of his ability to control the corner. So he's very good at pulling the 13 out the line. His timing is excellent, much better than Crowley's in terms of pulling a defensive line towards you. And they will have watched, Simon will have looked at where England were weak in the autumn, and it was at Slade's Channel. They got broken through Slade's Channel more than any other part of the pitch. So I think Prendergast will be put there because he'll want to pull Slade. He'll want to make him think that he's got a chance of getting towards the ball, and then he'll either put the ball behind him or he'll put it short. But I think that selection in the back row that you said might happen, and also Prendergast, I think are reactionary to a certain extent, and were probably 50-50 choices until the England team was named. You've got the back row of England, doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're all fantastic players, but the balance isn't right. I saw a nice thing, actually. It's called a twin Deleu.
But they're 3 7s, aren't they, effectively?
Willis is the in-form player, in-form English player. And then, you tick all the boxes. You could play Willis, who can be a line-out lift, and then you've got Earl at 7, and either Curry. And I said, what you'd do is, you'd start Tom, take him off at half-time, swap his shirt with his brother, right? Now, don't get cut. And then sit him on the bench, and then his brother plays for 20 or 30 minutes.
And he gets player of the match.
He gets player of the match.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Andy Dunne, just very quickly on the outhalf question. You've been preaching for the last few months, ever since the November series, that everybody should just chill out a little bit. It's great to have 2 number 10 options that are in great form. Crowley at least has responded really well over the last number of months to not having that jersey for the last 2 games of November. I presume you feel stronger about that at the moment, that Ireland are moving forward with 2 options, or are you starting to move towards the Sam Prendergast camp, so to speak?
No, I'm very much, I think there's a cultural thing in Irish rugby. I don't know if it's to do with Ollie Campbell and Tony Ward, or Raj and David Humphreys, or we're all little repressed Catholics and we need to anoint somebody and anoint someone, and everyone gets so excited. And actually, Jack Crowley's about 25, I think 24. I think he's had a pretty phenomenal start to his career, and Johnny Sexton only started at 24. So if you look at Crowley, he's ahead of where Sexton was at 24. Prendergast is ahead of where maybe Crowley was at 21. But you've also got Kieran Frawley, who knocked over 2 winning drop goals from 40 metres against the world champions in their backyard about 6 months ago. It's like it never happened. And we also look at it, and I think I've had this chat with Brian before and other players. We love a dominant or domineering 10. It makes everyone feel comfortable. And a verbal 10 who points and runs the weak. The counter-argument to that for me is Dan Carter was quiet as a mouse a lot of the time and grew into his role over time, but had huge talent. What I'd like to see is the South African model, which is 3 10s, interchangeable for a while, and eventually one emerges. And you have that first choice. They've Handré Pollard with 2 World Cup medals in his back pocket, routinely getting dropped for Manny Lebach or Sasha Feinberg. And I think in the middle of these World Cup cycles, picking someone and anointing someone early and this huge kind of rush and fervour towards one is a little bit pointless when they're all clearly talented and we've enough games in the next year or two, I think, to see one kind of emerge.
One word each, lads. Who's going to win the Six Nations? Brian.
France.
France. Austin.
France.
France. Quinny.
France.
France.
I said France, yeah.
Right.
On Tuesday.
Well, that's shite, isn't it? Listen, we've got a very special Never Stop Competing Challenge coming up in just a moment. We have some incredible prizes to give away. Unfortunately, Gerry, we're saying goodbye to you for the time being as we only have room for these 4 lads in our teams. It's a disgrace, frankly, but thank you very much, Gerry Thornley.
Jesus.
Right. If you want to come with me, lads, we're going to stand over here while we get the stage ready for the Never Stop Competing Challenge. So we've got some incredible prizes to give away over the next little while. So one of our finalists is going to be going to Ireland versus England on Saturday. Another of our finalists is going to be going to Ireland versus France on the 8th of March. So it's all with thanks to our partners in Bank of Ireland. And what better way to get ready for the Six Nations than the challenge that we're about to do. Adrian Barry has joined us for a challenge in just a moment. The one thing I need to ask, actually, I mean, you were never on a question of sport, am I right in saying that, Austin, or did you get the opportunity?
I'm one of them.
No, I've been on it probably 15, 20 times.
Yeah. The captaincy for a question of sport. Is this something that you were ever weighed up for out of interest, or was it?
Are we just going through my life's disappointments? Because quite frankly, I wish part of my body was slightly bigger. Anything else?
I do want to weigh you up to see how ready you are for this, to see how good a quiz teammate you are going to be for this final challenge.
Oh, it's a quiz question.
There is going to be 2 quiz questions.
Okay.
Once we have everything set up.
There's boxing gloves coming out.
A little bit of wee came down his leg there.
That's my age.
We might welcome our finalists onto the stage as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to split you up into Team Leinster and to Team non-Leinster. So Brian and Andy are going to be Team Leinster, and then Quinny and Austin are going to be Team non-Leinster. You're very welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Very welcome on the stage. You can join your teammates over here. Right.
How are you?
How are you?
Can you tell us your name and where are you from?
My name's Rachel.
So we got Rachel here joining Team non-Leinster. And yourself?
Jim.
Jim, and where are you guys from?
Dublin.
Dublin, very good. So Team non-Leinster has a couple of Leinster people in with them.
Owen.
Folks, what are your names?
Owen, just a quick word there for Rachel, who's going to step forward. Now, Rachel plays for UCD, by the way, folks. And also, it's Rachel's birthday today. So will we give her a quick round of happy birthday, I think, while we're waiting there. Are we ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rachel. Happy birthday to you.
Brilliant, Rachel. You better win now on this occasion. This would completely destroy everything for your birthday if you were not to win tonight. Guys, on the Team Leinster, I should say. What's your name?
Finn.
Finn, and where are you from?
Dublin.
Okay, very good. We have a match here. And what's your name?
Sarah from Kildare.
Sarah from Kildare, very good. So we have an all-team Leinster here. So what we are going to do tonight is we've borrowed Einstein off Ray Darcy, which a lot of people will remember. This is essentially the randomizer. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit a button. A load of different options are going to appear on screen, and then after that, we will see what activity we're going to do. So round 1, Einstein, if you please. Let's play darts. Wow, how convenient. We have a darts board on stage out of nowhere. Right. Adrian Barry is going to be our professional darts announcer for the evening. You want to explain how this is? There we go. He said the thing. Tell us how this works.
I'll be saying that pretty much over the next few minutes. So the rules are very simple. It's going to be Team Austin versus Team Brian, and the captains are going to come forward and step up to the oche, so you can sort of come in this direction in your own time. Brian, you're going to go first. You've got 6 darts each.
Okay.
In time-honoured fashion, you'll do 3 at a time.
Wait, don't know.
What?
No.
I've got my calculator out here, and we'll calculate them as we go, and then hopefully at the end, if my maths are about right, we'll be able to give Austin a target. So here we go. What's that now? Hang on, don't throw one.
18.
18, okay.
1.
What's it? 25, yeah. Oh, shit. 3, 25 and 3. 1 second now, hang on. I do have the calculator, it's all good. Brian got 46 in round 1.
46, fair play.
Right, Austin, no pressure.
Thanks.
5, 4 and 3.
Trip 1.
Oh my God.
Okay.
5 plus 4 plus 3.
Are you nervous standing up here?
12.
Come on, Aidan. Come on,
So
Aidan.
round 2, the final round. Brian, you've not very much to do here, so. 1. 5. Don't fuck it up. 19. 6 plus 19. That's 25. Give me 1 second here, Austin. I'll give you your target. 25 plus 46 minus 12. 59 will do. 60 will win it for you. 59 to draw.
Am I currently in a parallel universe?
This is all so real. It feels like you're
I mean, this
the
is
Ali
like
Pally.
the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
1. That won't do it. Oof.
Double tops.
No. 6. I'm not even going to bother with the calculator. 1 point to Brian in round 1.
Very good.
Well done, Austin. Very good.
Finn and
it was
Sarah,
not
you're
great,
looking
but-
good at this stage. Round 2, let's go again. Einstein, please.
Hope it starts again.
Where are the parallel universe?
It's the many hairstyles of Brian O'Driscoll round. So in this round, each team is going to get a picture of one of the many hairstyles that Brian O'Driscoll has sported during his career. So all you got to do is tell us what year the picture was taken. So there's 1 point on offer for each of these questions. It cannot pass over, but you can confer. So first up is
somebody got a
Austin's team.
slight advantage in this round.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I've erased all those
He's had
haircuts.
quite a few.
He's not very good at darts, but he's sharp as a tack.
Team Austin, you're first up. What year is this Brian O'Driscoll hairstyle from?
Jersey. I know the jersey.
Yeah.
201 or 2?
You think it's that far away?
Yeah.
What are you thinking, ballpark?
What? 2?
That's it, guys. Keep it
What's
nice
he
and
reckoning?
quiet.
We think
because
it's
just 1,000 people
2002.
here.
2002? I'm afraid that's incorrect. The answer is 2006. But you've got that, Brian?
No.
Right, here's your team's question.
Oh, sick. I'm going to take a picture of that.
I wanna speak to HR.
Austin, take a picture of that.
There's some sort of form of bullying going on here.
I need that.
I don't think that's me.
Looks like someone's eating you.
There's a close.
God. Is that
Any
Do
inkling?
you need to confer?
I've no idea.
I think it's the later years.
I'd say.
I'd say it's empty.
I'd say it's 07.
I was going to say the same thing.
Correct.
Oh.
Brian O'Driscoll gets a point for his team. Fair play.
Were you still
on knowing your own
playing
hairstyle. So the scores after that round is 2-0, Adrian.
Correct on, yeah.
Kick
Right,
game.
very
astute.
good. Let's keep this going. Let's get Einstein back
Bring
out
back
for another roll.
confrontation.
All right, it's time for Pictionary. So in this round, we're going to get the vice captains out. This is Alan and Andy. I'm going to give you each a card with 5 rugby-related clues, or Adrian has the cards. In fact, all you have to do is draw whatever's written on the cards to your teammates without saying anything, no verbal cues, and also no writing any letters on the board as well. You've got a minute, and then however many of your clues that your teammates correctly guess,
Pens
you
are-
guess
Pens are
those points. So that's Pictionary.
If you can't talk, you can't use any letters, numbers. I know what a cheat you are, so just keep within the rules. Now, if you can stand back that way, because he is a cheat and he is going to show you the card at any possible opportunity, that is your card. Have we got a minute on the clock?
I think we have a minute ready. Quinny, your time starts now.
You're not allowed to speak.
One of them.
Start drawing.
Yeah, you start here at the. I'll hold it for you, right? You start here. Come on,
Quinny,
the clock
Quinny,
is
get
going. Let's go. You can choose any of them.
Oh, just one, is it?
One at a time, Quinny. Yes, one at a time.
Ah, jeez.
Let's restart that clock. I think, to be fair.
Right, restart.
Okay, wait.
Take your time.
We're going to restart the clock?
Restart the clock,
Okay,
yeah.
we're giving Quinny a fresh go.
Is it hot?
Quinny, your time starts now.
Okay. There's two legs there, yeah.
This is a good start.
A ball. And there's a few more.
You can't be mumbling to yourself.
I can.
Line out. Shut up, Dad.
How long have we got? About 30 seconds left.
Yeah,
He's still on the first
Putting
one.
the ball into the scrum. Feeding the scrum.
Line out.
Alan Quinlan stamping on
Crooked feed.
I'm not going to lie. I've got the
Driving
answers
maul.
in front of me, and I don't know what
Driving
he's
maul.
drawn.
Right, maul. is
What do you say,
first
the
one.
maul?
Keep
Okay,
drawing.
1 point. Go
drawing.
on. Here you go.
Keep drawing.
I start
Go for the
wiping
next
here.
one, yeah. He's done, is he? I think
nice.
that's time, is it?
One saw on my time, is it?
Go on, we'll give you one more. We'll give you 10 seconds to draw one of these. Look.
Oh, Jesus.
Quick.
There we go.
Ah, there we go. That's the Hooter done.
Well done.
The Hooter's gone.
Right, so
I don't know what to do.
In fairness, you got 1 out of 5 there. I think that was
wasn't bad.
way more than we might have expected.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want your money back,
Am I supposed to
I suggest you just form a queue at the booking office.
Alan Quinlan managed 1 point there, so
Now,
we'll
lads,
get the
off you
next
go
team
there.
along. Andy Dunne, now's your time to shine.
Andy, I think
That was a disaster.
Quinny's
Hard to do.
bad drawing there probably give you a
Where am I?
good. I'll give you the thing. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
I'll hold it up for you here. We get a minute on the clock.
I'm a kiddo.
You
Right.
actually, I mean, this is an open goal for you here.
We've got a minute on the clock.
Yeah. Actually,
Dunne,
it's a
are you
good
ready?
point, yeah.
Come on around, come on
If you-
around.
yeah,
I'm
you all
lefty,
come this
I'm
way.
lefty.
Good point. Good point, yeah. Here, you need to look at these in the QT now. No mumbling like that, lad. Are we ready to
Okay.
go?
Do it.
Pick any one of those and away you go.
Oh, I pick one. Sorry.
One at a time. Does anybody ever play Pictionary?
Right, Andy, your time starts now.
How come both of them are thinking I might do 5 at one go?
William Webb Ellis.
Correct, that's
Wow.
1.
1 point, yeah.
That
Rub
one
it
was
out.
easy now.
Andy, and away you go. It looks like a cup of tea. Good man.
That was easy.
It's
Here
a
you go.
trophy, like, for fuck's sake. Do you want to see
Remember,
the
you
list
can't
I
write
had?
any letters. Shoot the guesses, lads, anytime you want there.
Christmas tree.
Oh, this is good.
Filled
Actually.
in it.
How long have we got?
What is that?
What's he drawing?
Oh, All Blacks. Black Ferns.
There we go, yeah, 2.
We give that. Go on. 2. Listen, that's it. It was a bit of a shambles, but you got 2, so...
Right.
Have you never played Pictionary?
No.
One more round. Let's get Einstein out back one more time.
It's 3-0 to Team Brian here, by the way. Is there a way back?
Team Leinster.
Who knows?
It's the What Happened Next round. Okay, so this is a round that is very straightforward. We're going to play you a video, and all you got to do is tell us what happens next. Austin, you're going to be first to your team, so you can confer. Let's play this video and tell us what happens next. So, Ireland versus England, obviously. Do you know what happens next?
Doesn't he kick it into Vunapola's bum and then it bounces back and they score? Can you remember what happened in that, Quinny?
Can we see it again?
It hits it off one ball, yeah.
Does it hit Haskell in the head?
What are we thinking?
Should we go for that? We think he kicks it. It hits either Haskell or Vunapola, and then in the head, and then Ireland score, and we all rejoice.
Yeah, we'll give you that. We'll give you that. Let's have a look.
Correct.
It's James Haskell's
Accidental.
face here that makes this.
Accidental offside, kicked into his own man. Scrum green.
Right, let's get our next clue going for Team Bod. Have a look at this.
Try scorer and man of the match last week against Edinburgh. Captain Sheahan Jennings against Niall Ronan. It's Ronan.
Oh, it's where Hayes gets sent off, is it? Yeah, Hayes stamps on someone.
Let's have a look.
Well, hang on a second. Whoa, before we do that, we'll throw it open for a point over here. Throw it over for a point. Right.
Stan Wright gets up and punches me. Total cowardly dig.
In the words of Sue Barker, let's see if he's right.
Farley's in there as well, and Stanley Wright is encircled by 5 or 6 Munster players. He's well able to get himself out of there.
Missed the punch.
We'll get it here now.
You just see there, it was Niall Ronan making the tackle. He rolls away, but Damien Varley was the one. Now, Stan Wright is very lucky to get away there through a dig at Alan Quinlan. He wouldn't be the first to do that, but...
So that point does carry over. So Adrian, what are we left with in terms of the scoreboard?
This is the end of the quiz, right?
This is the end of the quiz. The final scores are...
I give us a chance to draw.
They did get themselves on the board at the end with 2 points for Team Austin, everybody. But our winners this evening with 3 points, Team Brian.
That mean you don't get anything? Well done, Finn.
Congratulations to Finn and Sarah as well. You're off to the Six Nations. Which games are you going to?
France, I believe.
France and England. Will enjoy that this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, give a massive round of applause to our contestants tonight. They've been absolutely brilliant.
Well done, guys.
And a massive thank you to everybody who's been with us for tonight. A massive thank you to Brian O'Driscoll, who's always with us. Brilliant co-hosting tonight. Andy Dunne. Gerry Thornley, who's now off stage. Aoife Wafer. Alan Quinlan. And Austin Healey, everyone.
Hey! And you might as well walk out and have a bow.
And a massive thank you as well, once again, to Bank of Ireland for setting up a brilliant night for us tonight. Thanks as well to Mario Rosenstock for his voiceover at the start of the night, and to the brilliant staff here at the 3 Olympia. It's been such a pleasure to be here in this venue. Most of all, thank you to you for coming. You've been an absolutely phenomenal crowd. We'll see you very shortly, no doubt about it. We're going to leave you tonight with what we hope to see this Saturday against England. Have a great evening, folks.
They still go blind. Oh, beautiful work by Jordan Murphy. Brian O'Driscoll, Ireland's leading try scorer, puts one more on his tally, and Ireland are back in the lead.
Yeah, there, Galvin pulling it across. A missed kick by Sansom. In goes Aldridge, and Houghton. 1-0. And
celebrate.